Audio Literature presents Wisdomkeepers by Steve Wall and Harvey Arden, read by Michael Toms, Tammy Rahr, Ray Gagne, and Fred Gagne.
Think not forever of yourselves, O chiefs, nor of your own generation. Think of continuing generations of our families. Think of our grandchildren and of those yet unborn, whose faces are coming from beneath the ground.
Just off the map, beyond the interstates, out past the power lines and the shopping malls, up that little side road without a sign on it, lies the land of the Wisdomkeepers. Hidden from the mainstream of contemporary life, these living treasures of traditional Native America are revered among their people as the elders, the old ones, the grandfathers and the grandmothers, the fragile repositories of ancient ways and sacred knowledge going back millenniums. They don't preserve it, they live it. We knew little about such things when the man we now call the gatekeeper approached us in late 1981. We were in western North Carolina, working on an unrelated magazine article, and found ourselves talking to a local landowner in his horse pasture one afternoon. We just asked him if he knew any interesting local characters for the article, and he mentioned an Indian, a Cherokee medicine man, whom he thought we might find interesting. Even as he was speaking, the Cherokee slid his battered blue pickup to a halt in front of us, emerged from the billowing dust, and with surprising nimbleness for a full-bellied man, vaulted the barbed wire fence to present his outstretched hand in greeting. At first, in spite of his smiles and outward good humor, there seemed something vaguely menacing about him. His smile had a way of fading suddenly, revealing an underlying expression that was half angry, half sad. Not much was said at that first meeting. We found ourselves avoiding his eyes. Drawing back, we exchanged pleasantries and said goodbye, not expecting to see him again. But then, wherever we went over the next few days, it seemed he was already there, or would turn up shortly after we had arrived, always friendly, always ready to talk. His appearances were uncanny. Eventually we got over our inhibitions, our inner uncertainties. This man wasn't looking for small talk. He had something on his mind, and in some unfathomable way, we two unlikely white journalists had something to do with it. What was bothering him finally surfaced. He was a middle-level medicine man, primarily an herbalist. He had studied with two famous modern medicine men, Amonita Wolf Sequoia of the Cherokee and Josie Billy of the Seminole. Both, alas, had died in recent months. He recalled that Amonita, just before his death, had invited him to become a disciple so he could pass on everything he knew, but, feeling inadequate, he had declined. When Amonita abruptly died, the gatekeeper was swept by a wave of remorse. As a kind of penance, he took it upon himself to make a journey, a spirit journey, to the grandfathers and grandmothers of other Indian nations around the country. He would sit at their knees and learn from them whatever they cared to share. The grandfathers are dying out, he said, and the old way is going with them. Someone has to go out to them, record their words, take their photographs. Otherwise, it will all be lost. I'm no photographer or writer. I believe you two guys have been chosen to do it. The Cherokee's words, like seeds, took root in us, and the idea was born of a journey into Native America in search of the grandfathers and grandmothers, the Wisdomkeepers. At first we thought the Cherokee himself would lead us into that mystic labyrinth, but we were wrong. Yes, he would be going on such a spirit journey, he told us, but he would be going alone, going down his own path. For us, he was only the gatekeeper, not the guide. He had shown the way. It was up to us to follow it. So began an odyssey that continues to this day. Traveling across the land for nearly 10 years now, we have sought out the spiritual elders of more than a score of Native American nations: Lakota, Iroquois, Seminole, Ojibwe, Hopi, Ute, Pawnee, Shinnecock, Ho, Lumbee, and others. We have met them on their sacred soil, entered their homes and lives, and discovered the infinite riches of their friendship. Not being Indian experts may have been our greatest strength. Had we been anthropologists or sociologists, or heaven help us, ethno-historians, we would likely have been thrown out on our ears more than a few times. We asked for no secrets, only for whatever they cared to share with us. Quite beyond our expectations, they revealed their inmost thoughts and feelings, their dreams and visions, their healing remedies and apocalyptic prophecies, and above all, their humanity, which shines through every page of Wisdomkeepers. What began as a journalistic project became a mission. Each Wisdomkeeper bestowed on us some special gift of understanding, some indelible experience. From each, we came back enriched. Wisdomkeepers, we learned, are not necessarily old. Several of the acknowledged spiritual or political leaders of their people are still in their 40s and 50s. Others even younger are coming after them. We learned that our Cherokee gatekeeper had been wrong in one thing. The grandfathers and grandmothers may be dying, as inevitably they must, but they are emphatically not dying out. As we learned from Eddie Benton Benai, 4th level Midewiwin priest of the Ojibwe, the grandfathers and grandmothers are in the children, whose faces are coming from beneath the ground. We are changed. We have been seized and shaken. We went out 2 journalists after a good story. We came back 2 runners from another world, carrying an urgent message from the Wisdomkeepers. This program is that message. Charlie Knight, Ute. Out on the high desert plateau of southwestern Colorado, Ute medicine man Charlie Knight sits at the open door of his shiny blue Chevy pickup, eyeing the 2 approaching strangers whose dusty rent-a-car has just pulled up to his little one-man aluminum trailer. Tucked away behind a low rust-red mesa, the trailer, a cubbyhole on wheels, sits in an almost inconceivably vast amphitheater of stony desert, with bizarre shafts of frozen rock rising up here and there against the tilting horizons. To the west, the massif of horizontal Sleeping Ute Mountain lies prone at the foot of the color-streaked late-afternoon sky. Once, legend goes, all Utes were giants. A hunting party of these Ute giants left a lone brave behind to stand sentry over the land until they returned. Centuries passed, and the giant sentry at last fell asleep. At this, the Creator became angry and reduced all Utes to normal human size, except the sleeping sentry, who was transformed into a mountain to stand eternal guard over the land. It's said that one day the giant sleeping Ute will rise up from the earth and come to the rescue of his people in a time of great danger. Not many white men turn up out here at Charlie's sheep camp. The 2-lane blacktop goes by about a mile away, and it's easy to miss the weed-grown dirt rut of a road that turns off at a sagging barbed wire fence a dozen miles south of Cortez, the nearest town. The little Ute community of Towaoc lies a few miles off. 3 dogs howl our arrival and slink behind the pickup, hackles raised, awaiting a cue from Charlie on how to react to these 2 unlikely intruders.
"When you leaving?"
are his first words. He smiles ever so slightly, eyes unfathomable behind dark-tinted, metal-rimmed sunglasses. We explain why we've come. We'd like to share with him a few hours, days, even weeks, to record his words, take some photographs, and bring back to the outside world any message or messages he might like to transmit. Charlie snorts and shakes his head.
When did you fellas say you're leaving?
We take no insult. There's no venom in his words. We even sense a certain rough and easy friendliness in the low, guttural tones of his voice. He speaks slowly, wrestling with his seldom used English.
How you know where to find Charlie?